just started it. So we're gonna check first. We should be live on YouTube and on LinkedIn directly.
We should also check the sound of YouTube,
But
you know.
this time it's gonna be okay.
So refreshing my screen on YouTube, but we are not yet there. Can you see the live running on YouTube on your side, Yassine?
Yes, on YouTube Live, it's that waiting for Microcks. Don't know. Oh yeah, here we are. We are live now. It's just a delay to do the live stream.
Okay.
So we
Yeah,
are live on
perfect.
YouTube.
Can you see the live running on YouTube on your side, Yassine?
Yes, on YouTube Live, it's that waiting for Microcks. Hold on. So this is the link for YouTube Live, and I'm checking right now, but we should be live at the same time on LinkedIn, and yes, we are. So just perfect. So everything is up and running. Can you hear me?
Just 2 minutes before the
Yes.
start.
We'll wait just for the people who already joined us. We're going to start in a few minutes. It's just the time, to set up all of this, let's say, background administrative task in order to go live for these community meetings, and also to give, let's say, more time for people to join us. I notice, on the Linux Foundation system that we are using for scheduling these meetings, we have already 20 people who have registered. Doesn't mean that everybody going to come, but it's also mean that there's let's say, more and more people, community meeting after community meetings, who are joining us, which is amazing. And just for your information, this is edition 9 of our community meeting. Sorry, so we have started a few months ago. Okay. So let's wait a little bit, and I'm preparing, let's say, some information that we're going to share with all the attendees who are joining us using Zoom. Okay, we're going to be able to interact with us and all together. Plus, some information we can share for the people who are going to check the recording later on. Okay, so I think it's 9 a.m. CT. I think, I don't know what you think, Laurent, but maybe we can start the conversation now.
Yes, that's good.
So, first of all, thanks for all the people who join us on Zoom. We are starting to see some face that we already know, which is great. And very happy to have new people who are joining these community meetings, and look like the Linux Foundation mentorship program effect is eating us, which is great, which is really great. And I think we have had a conversation with Laurent yesterday to prepare this meeting, and clearly I think most of the time of this meeting will be dedicated to the LFX mentorship program, based on the fact that it has been launched a few weeks ago, and especially based on the traction on it, which is once again great, and thanks all for joining us for this purpose. Maybe before we start that, Regarding the latest news that we can share, you may have noticed that the main repo of Microcks have reached 1,500 stars on GitHub. So again, thanks for that. Very proud about that, and it's again one of the metrics that care for open source project and something we care about. And we also noticed that we have a very organic growth regarding the store, and we think that it's clearly and mainly due as well to the adopters that we have. If you check our adopter list, and by the way, I'll share my screen so then you can see some information on that as well, because I think that it's also important to, let's say, to follow that for people who are joining the program and everybody who is interested to see, let's say, how Microcks is growing. Let me share my screen. Okay. So here, if you go here and if you just check on Google Microcks adapters, here, and here we have a centralized file dedicated to people and especially enterprises and adopters who can, let's say, showcase and share publicly. So it's only people who are sharing the fact that they are using Microcks with a point of contact and a very short sentence on their use cases. So this list is growing. And why I'm linking that with, let's say, GitHub stars is, as you can realize, there's a lot of big enterprises, big banks and companies who are using Microcks at scale, like BNP Paribas, Lombard, and so on. And most of these companies don't use, let's say, or maybe are not allowed for some of them to use GitHub. And we realize that it's also mainly why, I mean, the stars are not, let's say, reflecting, let's say, the usages and the big usages that we have within some of these organizations. So it's just a comment. I think this file is very good to track and follow. And as you may have seen, for the one who follow us on social, we advertise any new public adopters now, and that's important to thank them and also promote the fact that they are using Microcks. And if you know within your enterprises, your network, your country, your communities, any enterprises who are using Microcks, please ask them to join the list and showcase publicly, because that's an important metric for us as a community and as an open source project, but also for the CNCF, because something we're going to dig further later on, but we are already working on moving forward and level up from sandbox to incubate. And this type of metric and the fact that we have public adopters is very, very important. So that's just, let's say, as an introduction on that. And I think we can jump directly now on, let's say, the main topic, except Laurent, if you have any other, let's say, stuff to introduce regarding the latest news and so on. We have so many updates week after week, but if you have anything to add, Laurent, just
No, that's okay for me. I think we can just jump into the topics of Linux Foundation Mentorship Program.
okay. So Linux Mentorship Program. So the good point is this is a program which is launched by the Linux Foundation, as you know. But as we are part of the CNCF, we have, let's say, a specific path in order to submit our project through the CNCF, who gonna, let's say, accept them and put them within the Linux Foundation program, which is, let's say, very nice, first of all, from the CNCF, because we have dedicated people within the CNCF who are taking care about this program and who are helping maintainers like Laurent and I and all the contributors, let's say, to move forward and make it as efficient as possible. So this is the page which is dedicated to it. You click on Explore, and as you, I think most of you have already seen that, and we've made some communication on it. But if you select Microcks here, you see that we have 7 projects in the program which have been accepted and listed, which is great. Honestly, And to make it completely transparent, we didn't expect to have all our 7 projects accepted, which is great. And last but not least, we already have uh, quite a lot of Monties on each of this project, which is again another very good surprise, very, very good surprise. And that's very, very cool. Um, so, regarding the program itself, it has been started, we have been accepted, and now it's a monthly submission period. So I think it's going to be good that we start by providing some information on what it means to be a Monty within the program, and right after, more information on each of its projects. So then we can use this community meeting today to, let's say, share information that we received from the CNCF last week. We have had a mentor call and webinar last week. We can share some information with you in order, first of all, to introduce what Monty mean, what are the requirements, what the CNCF and the Microcks community is expecting from a Monty, and right after, we can dig further on each of let's say, the project that has been selected to provide, let's say, more details on expectation of each of them. All right. So let's start by what it means to be a Monty. So we strongly, clearly recommend, first of all, to when you submit, to check all the details, the tasks, and the information that the Linux Foundation and the CNCF have put on the paper. There's a lot of links and information on details. We know that it's sometimes, let's say, painful to read a lot of documentation on sound, and as techies, we like to go straight to the point sometimes. But please read carefully all the details and all the information that the program is sharing, because it's also a good way, let's say, to know where you're putting your feet. And also, as you may have noticed, we have received a huge amount of messages all over. It's not a problem at all. It's part of the job. But we may be able, let's say, some time to, let's say, to struggle if we have too many requests coming from individual for asking, let's say, same type of topic. So in order to centralize the information, we have created a dedicated channel on Discord to discuss all these topics. So then when someone asks a question, the others, let's say, can just read the thread and let's say, we hope so, having, let's say, information to their own questions. So a lot of details, and I think one of the most important page for Mantis that we received a few days ago is this one. What it mean and what I mean, what is a Manti from the Linux Foundation and the CNCF point of view. So it clearly, the program has been made to onboard junior people, most of the time students, but not only. Could be also, people who are, let's say, more advanced within their career and would like to change their job or train themselves in, let's say, a new development activity, for example. So it's open, let's say, to everybody, but mainly focus on people who are on the learning curve, let's say. The program has not been made for core developers like Laurent, for example. Doesn't make sense for him to be a mentee. That's maybe why he's the mentor, by the way. So, regarding the involvement for, let's say, for mentees. So as I said, people like us, maintainers of project cannot become mentee. That's seniority stuff that I was expressing before. And one important point as well, and we have had information on the fact that the Linux Foundation and CNCF are going to check it out carefully, is that mentees have not been previous participant of the same program. So take care about that, because we were not aware, to be honest. And by the way, it is the first time Laurent and I are doing the program, so we are learning like you guys. But what is important is this program is to help junior and people who are on the learning curve. So they expect that people who have done it already to not reapply. And it seems that if you reapply twice and they can, let's say, not going to say cancel, but maybe reject your Mantis mission if you have been in a program in the past. So that's something that we learn, and we clearly, transparently share it with you because it could be a point of intention, and we don't want to, let's say, we would like to avoid any frustration regarding your expectation and Mantis expectation of the program. The other point is, of course, we try to describe as much as we can, and that's what we're going to do during the community meeting as well. What are the technical skills and criteria and requirements? Because you need to be in a learning curve, most of the time junior people, but still be, let's say, technical, and we are looking for techies and not people who have maybe not be a developer at all. I mean, who never use a Git or GitHub or whatever. And the latest point, and I think that's really something that everybody should take care about, is the legal point, because as a foundation, you know, CNCF and Linux Foundation are really taking care about that, and they're not gonna, let's say, accept Mantis, for example, which are under the age of 18 years old. So take care about all these aspects. Sharing, we are sharing with you these informations. The latest point regarding the country and the jurisdictions and so on. So that's also something to take care about, because the foundation is, let's say, have some obligation on that. So again, sharing that, and check please the link which is at the end. That's this page. I'll put it in a chat as well. Where is the chat? I'll put it in a chat, or maybe Laurent, if you can put it, or I'll put it in
Yeah.
Discord in any case. But this page from, you know, the Linux Foundation really explain and recap, you know, all the rules and all the, let's say, the requirements for becoming a Monty from the program point of view. And that's something that we as mentor must follow. Okay, so that's why I'm sharing this information with all of you, to make it clear regarding the point of attention as a mentee you need to care about. Okay, let's see if you have any question. By the way, we have not so many, so feel free to interrupt. You know,
Yeah,
just
sure.
like live.
Yes,
You
yes,
can
sir.
chat if you prefer, but let's open the conversation clearly.
Yeah, that's fine. So, hey Yasin, am I pronouncing your name correctly? So, if there any error, please forgive me. But yeah, so what are you finding the qualities in a mentee for to contribute your project?
So it's something that we. So Laurent, go ahead. Sorry, because I was speaking a lot so fast.
Yeah, so obviously we are talking about this with Yasin because next week we'll start to review the different applications. But to me, really, there is two important things. The first one is that you are able to demonstrate experience or skills on the topics of the project you choose. So typically, whether you have already done some stuff on CI/CD with GitHub Actions, if you have already developed a CLI using the Cobra library on Golang, this kind of stuff. Obviously, this is a very important topic. And the second one is also the enthusiasm you are demonstrating regarding the Microcks project, because I would say that, okay, we are looking for people to help us during 12 weeks, during 3 months. But above all, yes, we are trying to build a freewheeling community. So we'd like to find people who understand the Micros vision, who share it with us. and that are able also to bring their enthusiasm, their ideas above the different projects we submitted before.
Yeah, yeah, clearly,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
again, yeah, it's also, part of the program objectives, to help mentees, let's say, to better understand what joining an open source project is and mean. I mean, respecting the open source principle and all the stuff related to open source, it's part of the program objective. And Laurent and I are clearly open source lovers. That's also why we have donated this project to the Cloud Native Computing Foundation. And for the record, because we realize that a lot of people doesn't really understand what it means when we said that the project is part of the foundation, which means we have donated the project to the foundation. It's also mean that the project is not, let's say, Laurent or Yassine or any one project. It's now the intellectual property of the project it has been donated to the foundation. It's not us anymore for more than 2 years. The domain name, the trademark, everything that could be, let's say, monetized, to make it clear, has been donated for free to the foundation. So that's a strong, strong, strong engagement of us as maintainers to keep going the open source way. And it's also something that we would like to share. And it's also part of the program for the mentee to understand that and, let's say, leverage their way of contributing and using open source, because you may know that a lot of big enterprises and all of them are using open source, but just a few are contributing back or really understand what it means, let's say, to support a project on which they rely. And that's part of the education that the program is bringing on board. And as Laurent said, it's one of the criteria as well, which is important for us. Laurent,
That's great, Yasin. I also had one more question. Hi, this is Ishan this side.
hi,
Am I
Aishan.
audible? Hi. So I just wanted to ask if while evaluating the applications, uh, is prior contributions to the Microcks project would be something you would be considering while evaluating an application? Because for I've been applying to I've been trying to apply for LFX for like the last 2-3 terms now, and what I see is people usually come in 5 or 10 days earlier and then make some contributions, and their contributions are considered. So is this something you will be looking at too while considering the applications, or is it skill
Yeah.
set the only thing that you'll be looking at?
No, just for me, it's part of the skill set stuff here. I mean, obviously, if you already had a look at Microcks, if you had already started to understand how the code base is organized, how the different modules are working together, this kind of stuff, obviously, it enforces your skill set and it makes your application stronger for the project. This
Yeah,
is part of the skill sets part for me.
yeah, clearly and honestly, we make it fully transparent, and we really love this type of question because, yes, as I said, there's some project on which we have more than 15 mentees today, and we're gonna need to do a selection. Doing a selection only on the paper, we all know it's very hard. So if you are really motivating about the project, if you starting contributing on some micro stuff which are not related to the product itself, should be something nearby, of course, that give you some advantages. We make it clear because it show your implication, the fact that you really would like to join the program, and starting contributing on it outside of the program is something of value, of course. By the way, it's something I'm trying to, because that's a long discussion thread, and I think it's something that I've written explicitly to let me try to retrieve it. maybe I put it in a chat in Discord. But I remember that I wrote a sentence on this one. Let me see, because I think that's important to share. And this question is very relevant. Maybe yeah, it was at the beginning. Yeah. No, I don't retrieve it, but I know that I wrote somewhere an answer to this question, and to make it clear and based on your point, if you start contributing to Microcks on some of the project, and some mentees or people who would like to join as mentees have already started, yes. So if you are motivated, please do. We hope that it's just due to the project and not due to only the objective of becoming a mentee, but clearly we understand that it could be of use for both of us, and it can help us, of course, to make a selection, because we have had a conversation latest days with Laurent. Selection gonna be hard, and it's gonna be hard for us. Because something that we learn as well, and that we are sharing, is that we're going to need to select a single mentee per project. Based on the selection we're going to need to do in 2 weeks, we need to select what we name a primary mentee, let's say the mentee number one for us, and a secondary mentee as, let's say, as more someone that we can select, but is more a backup in case the primary mentee say I'm not going to join. So that's again part of the program rules that we need to apply. We have expected and at the beginning that we can have on a single program multiple mentees, because we think that mentees can join their forces, but it's not part of the program. We're going to select a single mentee per project. And yes, it's going to be hard for us to do a selection. I'll make it clear, yes.
Thank you, Yasin. I think that answers my question beautifully well.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you. You have created a conversation. But I want to ask about, hey, I'm Rupam, by the way. I did not introduce myself. I'm Rupam, I intern at Safe Space Lab. To grow through with the Microcks documentation, all the Microcks CLI and all, going to the LinkedIn also. So I have a question about the issue that Microcks cloud deployment. So what in this issue we have to do? We have to do the Microcks deployment also the documentation, or it is already deployed and we have to better it and only the documentation part. So can you please explain to me this, please?
So what we suggest, because we're still more than half an hour on this meeting, we finalize, let's say, the details on the program, the mentee requirements, and so on, and right after we can go project by project. And I think your question is related to one of his project, correct?
Yeah, this is related to the project, yes.
Yeah, but is it fine for you if we answer this question when we are digging further on this specific project, which is how to let's say deploy and do installation of Microcks on public cloud, or we have another project dedicated to AWS Marketplace?
Yeah, I did not get it. Can you please repeat?
Because your question is, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think your question is related to one project. I don't remember the number, but I'll
I
show
think
you right.
number 6 it is.
Yes.
So in a few minutes, we're going to go in each of his projects and provide details of each of his projects. So then let's come back to your question when we're going to dig further on this specific project. Fine with you?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
That's fine.
Cool. And just before we move forward on each of the projects, then, if you go in the Microcks, GitHub Microcks organization, you click on discussion. So for the one who have not done it already, and here you have a full thread of related to the Linux Foundation program. So first of all, and it's also the opportunity for Laura and I to do a big shout out to Arsh, because as you can see, this ID is coming from Arch. So first of all, thanks a lot, because that's let's say really what people joining the community can bring on board. Sometime with Laurent, we are focused or busy on some activities. Level up within the CNCF is something that you don't see all the amount of work it represents. All the stuff that Laurent is doing for maintaining Microcks and doing new features and so on. It's a huge amount of work, and sometimes we may miss big initiative like this one. So thanks, Arch, because as you can read, it's coming from him, and he's been pushing on it, and we thank him for that, because the program has been launched due to his pugnacity. So thanks a lot. And here you can check all the conversations. We are open source, we are fully transparent, we are fully open, and we use, and that's what we expect from you as well, especially if you are selected as a mentee, all the communication ideally need to go public. If you have something secret to share or very personal on some, as mentors, we will be here to do, one-to-one meeting and stuff like that. But everything related to the project are public and fully transparent. So here you'll see all the details, all the conversation. So please check. Sometimes it could be a lot, we realize, but check there's the information, all the details, conversation on some of his projects, and sometime decision which has been taken on some of his project as well. And here, that's also where you can see all the issues that have been submitted on each of the Microcks repos, and all the Linux Foundation links to each of his project as well. Okay, so check it out. Huge amount of information, plenty of details, and as you can see, there's people like Nate. Nate is part of the CNCF, and he's gonna help the mentors and the program, and he's following all that stuff. So all the public communication is, first of all, important and in full respect of the open source program and principles as well. So now back, let's say, to maybe by the way, before we start, any question on that? Any comment or question more related, let's say, to the program, mentees application and stuff like that?
Yeah, Yasin, I have one suggestion for all of the mentees who want to be part. So like I have found that the mentees are jumping from projects to projects. So like they are discussing on every project, which is absolutely fine. But in like I just want to suggest the one thing, like if you have chosen like choosing one organization or one project, try to be consistent with this, because like eventually it will going to help the product and the community of particular project. So like if you are coming to like Microcks, your future contributions will going to be help in the growing Microcks and its projects. So like I just have only one suggestion, like I have seen the people who are just jumping in multiple organizations and like pushing over there. So like if you really want to do with some good stuff in open source organizations, like there are one single thing, like you should be consistent with some like product which you are loving, because like it is not, otherwise it is not going to help anyone. And that's why like I just I just want to give this one suggestions to every mentee who are going to participate in this program.
Yeah, thanks a lot for that, Ash, because you're right. And again, we'll make it clear. We are here to stay and to have Microcks as sustainable as possible, which means, and again, don't be surprised, if you are jumping on board and trying to push something, let's say, too important or disruptive for the project. If, for example, I'll give you a real example. Everything related to GitHub CI is very critical. If you jump on a topic, if you push a PR on that, and we don't have a strong engagement on the fact that you're going to stay, help us to maintain and keep going, we're not going to accept it, clearly, because that's too tricky not for us as individual, for the community and the project itself. So what Arsh said, it's very important for a community like us. I mean, if you jump on board, we'll accept, typo correction on the website and so on. Okay, that's perfectly fine. And thanks for that, by the way. And it's easy and it's not going to impact everything, But if you are jumping on a topic which is, let's say, hot and impactful, be committed on it. And if you are not accepted as mentee, be prepared to keep going. Otherwise, we cannot accept, let's say, a single shot contribution, because that's too dangerous for the project and the community itself. So that's a very, very good comment. Yes, thanks a lot. And maybe also something that is important, Laura have mentioned that earlier, it's a 3 months program, which means 12 weeks. And CNCF really care about people engagement within the program, which means for the Linux Foundation and the CNCF and us as mentors, it's more or less a full-time job, which is also something you need to consider. If you are a student, if you have exams and stuff like that, take care that you're going to be able, let's say, to be as engaged as what the program requires. That's also a very, very important point. We'll share later on. It's not something we can dig further deeply because, to be honest, we don't have the full details. But you may have seen that Linux Foundation and the CNCF gonna fund the program and the project, which means mentees can be or may be paid if they are selected for each of this project. I cannot, and Lauren, I cannot share more information on that today, but this is part of the program. There's a retribution for each mentees. So we'll come back on that later on, but again, and we can understand that it's important for mentees, clearly. We've been students in the past, we know what it is. But what has been shared so far is very critical. Be engaged, be committed. If you want to join, be sure that it's because you really like Microcks' vision and mission and way of doing things and the project itself. Okay, cool. Any other point, comment, questions on this first section before we deep dive on each of the projects?
Hello, I'm Lakshman from India.
Hi there.
Actually, I have
Hello.
applied for the Microcks CLI project. Are there any ideas to expand the CLI features?
Yes, a lot.
Yes, but I think we can start talking about the different projects, maybe 2 or 3 minutes on each project, just to give you a brief overview on what we have in mind, and maybe yes, to give you some ideas and to pop out new ideas. So yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, so I'm sharing the project, what we name project number 1, which is the CLI. And by the way, just we also gonna tell you today we have 7 projects. Laurent and I are mentors on each of his project, but Laurent and I will lead some of his project. I mean, we work together hand in hand, but Laurent, for example, gonna lead this project. I'm going to be a secondary mentor on this one. Okay.
So let's start maybe with project number 1 about the CLI. I can tell you a few words about it. So you may know that Microcks has a CLI written in Go. It was written a long time ago. And to be honest, the first goal of the CLI was not to be used by a human, but mostly by a machine. I mean, being integrated into CI/CD pipelines. So as of today, we just have basic features in the CLI. One is triggering test on the Microcks server side, and the other one is importing artifacts within a Microcks instance. That's it. Yeah, from time we had more and more feedbacks that people wanted to use the CLI for administrative tasks on the machine, or also as a way to easily start the server. You know that sometimes it's easier to use a CLI than just crafting a Docker Compose file or launching a Docker command that can be real long. So we see also the opportunity of adding new features in the CLI, like for example, starting a local instance for doing local tests, stopping the instance, also importing much more artifacts from URL, from files, in importing a full directory or creating a job, this kind of stuff. So that's why we'd like to expand the CLI, start with a refactoring to have some kind of solid foundation to build new feature upon. So logically, we just have a look at the Cobra CLI. Okay, so the task around this CLI is to, yes, to refactor everything to use a solid framework as a foundation. We should obviously absolutely maintain the compatibility with existing features that allows the CLI to be used from GitHub Actions, from GitLab pipeline, this kind of stuff. And then just, yes, start implementing new features like starting a Microcks instance, stopping a Microcks instance, and also review all the packaging related to this CLI. Because as of today, and it was just published yesterday, we had an experiment that put the CLI into the Brew package manager for macOS, but obviously we'd like also be able to target some other package manager, and so yes, make people lives easy when they wanted to start with Microx CLI. So in a nutshell, that is what we expect on the on this CLI project.
Yeah, and I think based on the question, yes, there's a lot of, let's say, new features of the CLI. It's just the beginning of the story, because we saw some comments regarding Brew, but and it's part of this project, yes, but it's a very, very small part of the project. The real part is to extend the CLI itself and add as many options as what Microcks is able to support, or at least maybe not all of them, but much more than what we have today.
Yes, exactly. Also, we like to have the ability to manage connection context, you know, like for example in kubectl, when you have this ability to connect and then to have everything recorded or state recorded into your home directory, so you don't have to provide the authentication flags on the CLI for the next commands, this kind of stuff. So this is part of the ideas we have for the project.
And here you have an issue dedicated to each of this project, which has been launched for the Linux Foundation program. So you can ask, and it has started already, questions and on it. But something that we're going to be more than happy to follow up. But again, the project will start in March with one Mentee on this project, and that's where we're going to start, let's say, the real work. And the first part of the work is to define, let's say, expectation, milestones, and what we ideally would like the Mentee to deliver during this 12 weeks period. Okay. Any other question on this project? CLI, we can name it the next generation CLI, clearly.
Actually, I have one question. Not being as a mentee and actually want to be a regular contributor to the CLI project because I'm learning like how to build CLI applications with Go. So I want to learn alongside. What do you suggest in this? What can I contribute to as a starting point in this project?
You mean the CLI specifically, or you mean Microcks globally? Sorry.
CLI specifically?
Okay, so obviously the one that will be selected as the mentee will lead the improvement of the CLI. Okay, we will define some tasks and some priority goals at the beginning of the project. But I mean, depending on the ideas and all the ideas that may come from the community, may come from you, may come from users and so on. This is not a limited scope we have. We may expand it. So maybe there will be opportunity to, yes, to learn by implementing some subtasks that are strictly scoped. I don't know, but yeah, I can encourage you to follow up and to have regularly a look at the different issues and see if you can jump on board. I mean, what we are expecting from the mentee to be selected is not to maybe it's not an obligation to do everything by your own. You can also ask help from the community, delegate some subtask if you want also to make people on board the project and if you think it's a good opportunity. So it's really up to you to also demonstrate this real open source mind, I mean.
Yeah, and something we will care about, and that's not related to this specific project, it's related to everything on all, let's say, the Microcks repo. Here you can see microcks.io, which is a website. What we will ask to the mentee and what we are doing as much as we can is we are also using this tag, good for first issue, help wanted. So please, if you are interested on the CLI, check regularly the issues, ask question on it, ask if you can contribute to this one, and also check everything that a Microsoft contributor will tag and use good first issue and help wanted, especially good first issue. Based on your question and my understanding of, let's say, the way you would like to be implicated, that's clearly maybe the best issues to track and jump on.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
And as Laurent said, mentees, we don't expect the mentees to do everything on their own by themselves from end to end. Being part of the community is also being able to grab feedback from others, share and delegate to others, and especially if there's good first issues to let's say sometime, and we have had a lot of discussion, and it's not easy, to be honest, as maintainer to take care about that, but sometimes it could take way longer to just write an issue and say good for first time contribution than doing it ourselves. But that's also, let's say, the way of doing stuff the open source way. So mentees, be prepared. You're not going to work during 12 weeks on your own. We also expect you to share with the others and help junior people, like what we clearly said on the CLI. Good first issue is really something to track, and we'll do more and more and more of that. All right, moving forward on the second project then.
Yeah. I
It's
think we should accelerate a bit.
the others should be quicker, maybe. We'll see.
Yeah.
So this is lead by Laurent again.
Yeah.
So what for is you?
Yeah, okay. So we have this, as of today, it's a website. It's hub.microcks.io, that is kind of like a marketplace that allows you to retrieve standards or products-related API mocks and test suites. This is also the channel we are using to distribute the samples for Microcks. So it was created a long time ago with an old technology stack. And we are looking for people to refresh everything, select a new technology stack. You may have read on the threads that the criterion for selecting these stacks are different than the one we are using for the Microcks UI itself. But yes, that's all about it. It's much more focused on UI for the first part. And the second one is also to be able to make it deployable on premises, because we had a lot of feedback from the community that people say that the hub can also be helpful as a private instance within their organization to share mocks between different BUs, between different departments of the organization. So this is the second part of the project, making it deployable on premises, typically on Kubernetes. So it's about writing and providing all the documentation on how to deploy this, providing probably a Helm chart or this kind of stuff.
And then when we are dealing about the hub, is this one that you can find online, which is publicly available on the internet. And as Laurent said, and by the way, if you use Microcks, and if you can see that the hub is integrated within the Microcks UI, and it's pointing to this one. And what big adopters, especially big enterprises, like to use Microcks on-prem for security reason and stuff like that, they would like to be able to have the exact same facility, but within their infrastructures. So that's one of the big goals of the product. Okay, any question on this one? Again, dedicated
I think the same interface we got when we use the Microcks CLI in the local environment via Docker.
Yes, exactly. So,
Yes,
and this is a specific point we will have to discuss about on this topic. As of today, it's the same technology stack that is used on both Microcks UI and Hub UI. It does not have necessarily to be the same thing in the future, but we will have to see how we can ease the pain or reusing part of the hub within the Microcks main UI, and how we can make that easy in the future.
oh, got it.
All right, moving forward on the next project. So this one, again, related to the Microcks hub. But as you have seen, the hub today is a way to provide ready-to-use, sandboxes or test suites for a specific API. So I will be the lead mentor on this project, and here the goal is clearly to maybe refresh first of all, what is available on the hub today. Because if you check it out, some of these entries are clearly outdated, like open banking, Terraform, and so on. And we have new initiatives which are gaining a lot of traction, like the transport API that has been published by the company which is named bump.sh. We have a lot of work in progress on the telco vertical with API from Camara, maybe TM Forum, and anything like that. So the goal of this project, to come back to it, is to provide, let's say, through the hub, packages for public API which are well known, easily used, and in order to facilitate the adoption of these APIs by providing through Microcks mocking and testing facility, and open the doors to any developers to start coding consumer application, let's say, on their own, the way they would like, without asking anything to anybody, because it's all open, let's say, just to make it straight to the point. Because as you will see, for example, telco vertical, if you like to go to your telco operator with export camera APIs, you need to, most of the time, it's more dedicated, let's say, to commercial relationship. Here, it's a way to open it to everybody, especially startups, or company which are, just at the early stage, or individual developer who like to learn or contribute or have an idea and just would like to be able to be fully autonomous on the way they're going to use it. So project is put some, some ideas here, Twilio, Stripe, Salesforce. So Salesforce may be too big, to be honest. We started to check it out. That's maybe a too big beast, let's say. But here the idea is to extend the Microcks hub, and the way by providing, let's say, ready-to-use packages and sandboxes and test suites, and maintaining it through the community as well. All right, any question on this one? Nope.
Just maybe a compliment to this one. I think that it's much more focused on providing open APIs, Postman collection, API examples, like this kind of stuff. But you have also to understand that you will be the one that are using the tools for that. And maybe as a tool user, what's very important is also to give feedbacks of whether you have the right tools to do your job. So typically, for example, we are providing spectral rules to be able to lint your OpenAPI files to check if everything is okay. It may happen that you find that the rules are not comprehensive enough, or you mean another tool that can be put into the CLI to make your life easier when you are writing this OpenAPI file or the YAML file. So this is also another facet of this project. Being a tool user, giving feedbacks and giving ideas on how to improve those tools that are much more dedicated to people who are writing specs, who are describing examples for Microcks.
Yes, and a very good point, Laurent, because it's also where we would like to leverage, for example, the API example format that we have. Because that's, as you understood, the goal is to use or reuse ideally an existing spec from a provider, and then add additional examples, because that's mandatory for generating mock and tests, and having a clear demarcation point between the provider spec and the data set of example through this dedicated format is a very, very nice way to simplify the maintenance as well. So that's also part of the program, to introduce API example in all the new packages provided through the hub, and as Laurent said, leveraging everything which is already existing within Microcks, or maybe do some improvement or create new one to make it easier to contribute and easier to maintain as well. All right, next one. So community documentation. So I'll gonna lead this one as well. And here, you may have seen, and we started to have conversation, by the way, regarding CLI and specific packages and so on. We have a dedicated repo for the community. And this repo is where we share information on the community. So let me click on it, so it's going to be easier. And here we have, let's say, we have created a two directory, tool and install. And what we would like to promote through this project is, more documentation, way to onboard the community, new contributors and so on, to contribute to, stuff related to Microcks, but which are, let's say, more at the border. What I mean by at the border is us and maintainers and a community project like us, we cannot, provide a way to install Microcks which is production ready for a specific environment. Why I'm saying we cannot? Because it's a different engagement for a community project. We are a project, we are not a product. We don't monetize it, so we cannot, let's say, provide something that enterprise is going to use as is, and enterprises will expect, let's say, to have a strong engagement on the way, it it work as a product, with support, SLA, and so on, because it's not what we are. We are just, let's say, just an open source project. So here it's an opportunity for adopters or contributors, let's say, to describe a way to install Microcks in production, and thanks to and respecting the open source principle, share the way they are doing it to others. So this project it's more, let's say, documentation, communication, partnership, relationship, and engagement, and evangelization, and so on, so on, so on. Certainly, we'll discuss with the Mentee, doing webinars or anything that can help to bring on board more contribution, which are, let's say, at the border of Microcks, the core project, for way to install it in production, tools, or way to package tools like Microcks or near Microcks, and maybe some others that we have not imagined or think about so far. Okay, so let's move forward and see if we can, let's say, respect our 1 hour planning. This one. So this one is going to be led by Laurent. So Laurent, I'll let you introduce it.
Yes. So throughout the years, as we have introduced more and more way of deploying Microcks, I mean, using raw containers, using Docker Compose, using Kubernetes and chart operator, and so on and so forth. So it started to be difficult to be sure that everything is still running okay when we are delivering new features. So we have to enrich all the things we can automate using GitHub Actions. So typically, as of today, we have, let's say, basic GitHub Actions that are doing unit tests, integration tests, packaging stuff, and so on. But we'd like to expand and to be able to have a comprehensive set of GitHub Actions pipelines that are doing tests for everything, for Docker Compose, for Podman Compose, for the Helm chart on Kubernetes cluster, this kind of stuff. So what we expect is, yes, this will be purely focused on GitHub Actions pipeline. So we expect you to have a great experience with GitHub Actions, and also, yes, a really important overview on how to do things, how to plan things, how to track things, because what's really important when typically you are detecting a failure on an installation or running a container in Kubernetes, whatever, is to be able to track this and to attach this with the latest changes that triggered these new bugs and so on. So we also need to have someone that is really well aware of the different best practices on how to ensure traceability and auditability of all these actions in the different testing workflows.
Yeah, and again, because this product is not coming from nowhere, we realize, and again, fully transparently, we share those issues. We have, Microcks build has been broken due to a specific dependency issue that we have not been able to detect upfront. So we are all learning, let's say, from our past experiences and sometimes mistakes, and this is a way to, let's say, not do the same mistakes twice, let's say, or at least not 10 times. All right, next one. Community. So this one again is more related to community and the install folder, because, and again, we cannot provide a fully documented way or to deploy Microcks production ready or at scale on, let's say, all the providers that all adopters are using. But we think we understood and understand clearly that it's important. And this project is to facilitate, let's say, Microcks usages by moving this, by adding, let's say, there's a way to install Microcks on the community project and create some, let's say, to launch this initiative. So what we expect here from a Mentee is that someone that is coming through with a GCP or Azure or any others, could be Alibaba or anything that you like, or that you know already, and provide way to install Microcks, ideally on top of provider managed Kubernetes services provided by one of its provider, using their services and make it production ready. It's clearly a way, from our point of view, through this project to launch a rocket of more contribution on how to deploy on cloud providers efficiently and move, let's say, the fact that this is a community contribution maintained by the community outside of the core product itself, what I explained previously. So yeah, that's it more or less here. Everything will be defined with the Mentee selected. Any question?
So, hi, Yasin, this is Ishan here again. I think I got disconnected for a moment, but if I'm reading this right, is this something which is focused on community management, more of a community management tool, and a little bit of technical writing as well?
Sorry, I'm not hearing you very well. So can you just reformulate the question? Is it related to
Yeah, I asked if this project is more of related to community management and technical writing.
affiliated to community management?
Yeah, community management and technical writing. I mean, more of community
Yeah. So
management
like,
and less of technical writing.
So no, it's both, because you need to, let's say, write the documentation, advertise it with the community. You're right, but also technical knowledge in order to let's say to do contribution on one, two, or maybe more provider. I mean, building the Canva and a template to do it for one, but more animate, let's say. So it's more, you're right, more related to documentation, community-driven way of onboarding new, let's say, contribution on this specific topic, less than doing it yourself. If it's your question, you're right. When I was saying maybe doing it for one, it's maybe less mandatory in this case. Yeah, fully agree, and you're right. The goal is really to provide and ease the pain of contributing by adding way to install on these providers than doing it yourself. Sorry if it was not clear, and I hope I did answer your question.
Yep, I think that answers my question.
Well, thanks a lot.
Yeah, you were. I think you got it right. Thank you for that.
And then moving forward on the latest project, which is on the same topic, but here that's much more technical and dedicated to AWS. Why? And as you can imagine, most of our adopters who are using cloud services are deploying Microcks on AWS. We have, not going to say too many, but a lot of questions on how to deploy Microcks on AWS using AWS services and stuff like that and so on. And again, it's out of the scope from a foundation project of what we would like to focus on and need to focus on. So this project is to be able to provide Microcks within the AWS marketplace, maybe with a price or not. We'll discuss that later on. If it's with the price, again, it's through the open source principle, which means the money collected will go in our open collective fully transparently in order to help the community from a financial point of view to keep going. To do so, for example, there's AWS fees to pay on a yearly basis. So if we provide that with a cost, it's a way to, let's say, manage the expenses and take care about the investments it represents. But here the goal is really to have Microcks deploy on AWS using all the AWS services, something that is production ready to use, can be installed in a single click in order to facilitate Microcks adoption. So when I was saying previously that doing production stuff on Sun is out of the scope, it is. And here, this stuff is dedicated to AWS because we have, let's say, a lot of adopters and requests on this issue. And we understood and we realized that most of them are struggling, or it takes them a lot of time, let's say, to deploy Microcks using MongoDB provided, DocumentDB, specific IDB and not Keycloak, or use Keycloak to bypass and as on the bypass mode, all the stuff related to EKS, Aurora, and all the AWS services. So here, what the Mentee we expect is someone that know AWS services, know how to deploy in a fully, infrastructure as code and more or less SRE principle of way of doing deployment on AWS in order to put Microcks within the marketplace, and then all the adopters can just click and use Microcks. We'll see later on if it's free or paid, but if it's paid, again, for the community and to help the community. And we think that it's going to sort out, let's say, the pain of a lot of big adopters who struggle to do that by themselves. And today, unfortunately, we have adopters who have done that job, but none of them have contributing back to the community. And this is a way to provide it through the marketplace. And again, a community effort to maintain it. And I don't know if I said that, but I will lead this project, and we are already in touch with AWS. We already are part of the AWS program, and we may have some help from AWS to make it happen. Okay, any question on this one? I don't know, Laurent, if you have checked the chat. I'm a little bit late on it.
Yeah, but I think it's okay. I think everyone is finding answers to the different questions, so at least I hope to. So
yeah, and otherwise, feel free to reach out on idly the Discord, please, or any of this project through the issue that we have created. And then,
Hello.
yeah.
maybe there is a question from Devansh, if I pronounce it correctly.
Yeah, you are pronouncing it correctly. Yeah.
Let us know, Devansh.
Hello, I have a question.
Yes, please go ahead.
I noticed that the application's deadline is on 18 Feb. Will the last minute application will be considered I want to add my contributions in that, so
Sorry, I'm not sure that I understood, but yes, you still have I think, a few days till the 18th to submit. And important, by the way, finalize all the tasks that you need to do to be in order to submit as a Mentee. And after that, Mentee submission will be closed, and then we have 2 weeks, Laurent and I, to do the selection. Don't be surprised if we contact you directly for an interview. I mean, the mentees, which will be some of them, sorry, the one who going to be shortlisted, will do our best to do interviews.
Yeah, and typically this will happen on Monday the 24th.
For you, Laurent, on your
Yes,
project.
for me.
For me, maybe next week. I'll do my best to contact some of the mentees in order to, let's say, dig further on the questions. So in order to do that, that means that you need to finalize your submission, finalize all your tasks. Till the tasks are not green, you cannot be accepted in the program. Us as mentors, we cannot do any interview or validate a mentee which has not finalized the task. It's forbidden by the CNCF and Linux Foundation. And I know that some of the tasks are not as relevant, but that's the way it is. So please follow the process. I'm not sure that it answers your question, so feel free to correct or ask us if it's not.
Hello, my question was not clear for you.
Sorry for that. Can you
Okay.
reframe?
So let's just wait. I think I got his question. So like he just want to ask that if he submit at last minute of the application deadline, will it be considered? So like the basic
Yeah, yeah.
answer, yeah. So
Oh,
the
sorry.
basic answer is yes, because like it is a deadline. Before it you can submit at any time, like at last minute also, and then mentors have their own time, like 2 weeks and all that, for the selecting mentees. So like there is no an impact of the last minute submission and all that.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Arch. Yes, you're right. I mean, there's a deadline. If you miss the deadline, in any case, you're not going to be able to submit. So do it in advance or at the latest minute. It's up to you. In any case, on our side, we're not going to start the selection before there's point. Doing interview maybe in the meantime, we'll see how we manage based on our schedule as well. But in any case, the selection will be done when the mentee submission period is closed. So you can submit till the 18th. And
Please, I have a question.
yeah, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted you to just like highlight on the tasks that you said would be required for the for us to complete in order to follow the due process. I want to really understand. Like, could you like explain more? What are the tasks, and is it for each project, or before getting into project you must complete some tasks? I wanted to get more clarity on that here.
Yeah.
So that is, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, basically, when we talk about the task, is the task within the LFX mentorship website. I mean, so typically you have to provide two different documents, a resume and a cover letter, an application letter. So once you have provided both of them, your application turns to green. It says to us, task has been submitted, and then we can start reviewing your application. So that's what that's why we mentioned task.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you meant like in Microcks itself. Thank you. Thanks.
No. No, there is no prerequisite task in Microcks itself, just prerequisite task regarding the Linux Foundation mentorship platform.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Maybe one point for everything related to UI, and especially front end and so on, you may see an additional task to provide a new UI that you have designed on which a project on which you worked previously. I discovered that honestly just a few days ago. It's not coming from us. It's the program, and again, the best tasks are not coming from us. It's part of the process we need to follow. So everything related to UI, I think it's a case. Let you check it out, Laurent. But for Hub on-prem, I think there's one additional task that you need to submit or share a UI or work that you have done as a front-end developer or something like that.
Oh, okay, didn't notice that on the check.
I noticed it yesterday as well. So
you said it's on the hub because it is related to UI.
yes.
Oh, okay.
It's related to front end, so they have added an additional task.
Okay,
And they didn't tell us, by the way. So.
Yeah.
So I think we've been a little bit longer, but that's great. And thanks a lot for the question and interaction and so on. And again, thanks a lot for your enthusiasm to join the Microcks community. I really, really appreciate it. And we are eager, let's say, to start working with all the mentees selected, but everybody who would like to join as a community. As Arsh said previously, doesn't mean that you are not selected as a mentee, that you are not welcome to join Microcks and the Microcks community as a contributor, really, and clearly, and that's really something that we mean and do. So thanks all. If you check the schedule on Sound, we are doing 2 community meetings per month. One at this time, which is better for some part of the region in the world, and another one which is more for US on Sound. But feel free to join and jump in any of these community meetings. It's your agenda, and usually it's a way to communicate and exchange and share with the community. We don't want so far to have, let's say, a very strict agenda and be the only one who are, let's say, sharing information. So feel free to follow up, and let's stay in touch, and we'll share this information within the Discord channel for the people who have not been able to join. They can watch the recording, and I hope that it's going to answer most of their questions. Okay, thanks a lot. Enjoy your day for the one who are in the morning like us, and chat with you soon, then.
Yeah, bye-bye. Have a nice day.
Bye bye.
Bye bye all.
See you soon.
Thanks a
Bye-bye.
lot.
Thanks
Bye.
a lot.
Bye bye.